now, as I talk to people who produce their own content, I feel like there is a pathway for like a regular person to approach Netflix and sell their product or lease their, their content to the streaming services, which is encouraging.
Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. Hey everyone, welcome back. I am Jesse Malinowski and this is Get Scene Unscripted. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you are coming back, I'm so grateful that you have chosen our show to be on your actor journey and move you forward. By the way, if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that. We bring in incredible industry pros and incredible actors to help move you forward in your journey. So hit that subscribe button so you do not miss an episode. And today, everyone, we have an incredible talent agent from the Alexander White Agency, Miss Laura Magner. What's up, Laura? How are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm so glad to have you here. It's awesome to connect with you more. And, you're with Alexander White Agency. When did you move to Alex?
2022.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So you've been with him for a while. Yeah. So it's going well. It's going
great.
well. And AWA just did it, but it's still kind of news, if you will, that they expanded to LA and brought on some Los Angeles agents. How has that kind of I don't want to call it like noise, but I feel like excitement or whatever. I feel like you're probably now getting like submissions from everywhere now. Like how has that been?
I think it's been really good. We're still kind of working together, but we, share a few clients and it's just like more eyeballs on everyone and taking the time to kind of get to know who they have on their roster in case we see something here, because we do have things released in the Southeast that are not released in LA. And just more eyeballs, like all of us looking out for everything, making sure that nothing is missed and nobody misses an opportunity, and just kind of picking their brain sometimes on different projects or sharing intel. The Slack board is, popping off and sharing messages, when anybody finds out something like, okay, this is what they're really looking for this role, or, it's just more helpful information to help all of us make sure that we're taking advantage of everything and that we have all the pertinent information on all the projects and all that kind of stuff. So it's awesome. Exciting. And Jody, one of our LA agents, is really dialed into Broadway and stuff like that, which is exciting because I have booked theater and I continue to look out for some really cool opportunities for my theater people. And so that's fun.
Yeah, Alex was just telling me how they had just gone to an not LA premiere, New York Broadway premiere.
Yeah.
He was talking about the difference of it and just how much more he really liked it. Yeah, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So and I think we'll kind of get back to there eventually, but you actually were in education for like 30 years. How did you end up here? What happened?
I always think, some people are going to think that I don't know, that I don't belong, or it's so weird. But I've talked to a lot of other agents, and just a lot of agents come to this business from so many different places. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'm not completely
You are not alone by any means.
So,
no
and
way.
I did theater in high school, and I was a French horn player, so kind of been in the arts for a while. My husband and I actually did a play, like it's probably in 8 years now. We did a play together.
Oh, fun.
But so I was a teacher and my daughter was an actor. So she started training like 2008, 2009, maybe. And she was with AMT actually for a while. And then she was with Jera at Avery Agency. They changed their name. For like 8 years, all the way through college. So I think it really helped me in this business, first of all, knowing like how my interactions were with her agents and that how that communication went and how I either want to do it the same or do it different based on like the communication styles of her agents or whatever. But when she started, we were just becoming like what Atlanta was. You know, I mean, I drove her to Peachtree City for Drop Dead Diva auditions.
Oh, wow. Drop Dead Diva.
Just like all over the place, you know, and we did one of the first self-tapes, you know, for, I think it was a Twilight movie or the second Twilight movie or something like that. And we were like, where do we go? And they sent us to somebody's apartment in Buckhead that the agency was like, this person will do it. And I'm like, okay, weird. But it, you know, I learned who the casting directors were in town because they booked her, they auditioned her, you know, and so I learned the business from that side. And then I met other parents, and then other parents reached out to me that had young actors. And because I was a teacher, I think I already had that like protective piece, you know, that some parents were looking for if they wanted to talk to somebody about this business, because it's a wild business, you know. And then when you're talking about a child, you really want to protect them and make sure that you're not falling for scams. There's so many scams out there, you know, that parents do fall for when they want their kid to be in the business and everything. And so people would reach out to me and I would do some consulting and, you know, things like that and help parents navigate it as best I could from what I knew. But I just kind of learned about the business from her side, and she did really well with commercials. It's hard being a teenager in this business because they, of course, hire 18 to play younger a lot. So commercials is sort of where it's at when you're in high school,
Right.
You know, and she's SAG eligible. So I knew that business, you know, and then when I was getting ready to retire, I literally made like a list. You know, I love a good list.
Yeah, who doesn't love a good list? Yeah.
I made a list of like, what can I do? Because I retired from teaching when I was 51, you know, and I had 2 kids in college, and I was like, I can't just be retired. You know, I have to do something with my life. So I was making lists like, what could I do? I used to travel around the country and speak for my publisher, but educational publishing and the budgets and everything that has happened in the last many years, that part of the business is not flourishing like it used to, you know? So I could do that, but it wouldn't be as lucrative as it was 10 or 15 years ago. So I was just making a list of what I could do. And then I was approached by someone who wanted to build a talent division and knew that I, you know, had some knowledge of the business and knew that I needed another job. And so I was like,
needed not to be retired.
Sure. Needed not to be retired, you know, and I think it was a pretty easy segue. I mean, it's a big, steep learning curve because there's a lot more that you do as an agent that you wouldn't do as a, you know, a manager or a mom or whatever. But as a teacher, very good at multitasking, very good at communication, used to not working 40 hours a week, you know, used to working on the weekends and evenings and whatever. So that's a lot of what this job is too. Multitasking, you know, you have all these things in your mind. I got to do this. I got to send this check authorization. I got to check on that. I got to close it, you know. So it's been a pretty, you know, easy transition because I know people who've kind of gone into this business and they wanted a 9-to-5, and this is not a 9-to-5 at all, you know, especially with LA breakdowns and whatnot. And you just have to work, you know, whenever, but it wasn't that big of a deal to me.
Yeah.
We work 60, 70-hour weeks as teachers anyway. So
Right. I love the, like, you wanting to like dive into something else, even at the age of 51 or a little bit later. And being brave enough and courageous enough to do that. I think whether it be anyone wanting to like maybe do a transition, or I know a lot of actors that come into it a little bit later and they're like, well, now I'm too old. I don't have the
it's never too late.
Yes, exactly. You know, so I'd love to know, like, you know, when you did that list, you know, we joked about loving a good list, but like, you know, what were some of the things you wrote down? How did you get there? How were you able to make it make sense for you?
Well, like I said, I have a publisher. I haven't published anything with them for a while, but I had started writing a book when my daughter was training for actors on the topic of creativity, because that was like my specialty when I taught gifted ed, was creativity and critical thinking. And a lot of people don't really understand what creativity is. You know, they think if you pour glitter on something, that's creative, you know, and that's not it. You know, it needs to be something that's truly unique. And a big part of how I drove my classroom was the belief that everyone can get better at something if you just, you know, implement the tools and you just practice and you just put in the work, you know. So even people who are like, oh, I'm not creative at all, I don't have a creative bone in my body, I truly believe that they can get better at creative thinking because there are specific thinking skills involved in that practice. So I had started writing this book for actors on what is creativity and how do we apply it to the craft of acting so that our audition is authentic ourselves, but also that standout thing that casting directors always want, you know, be different, stand out. Don't be crazy and stand out.
Yeah.
Don't be the audition that everybody talks about for 10 years. Like, remember that guy? You know?
Yeah.
He was wild. So I worked on that book, and then I just kind of got busy and stopped writing it, you know. So then when I was starting to retire, I was like, maybe this is something I can use my knowledge of that and just push it into a new space, you know, and rejuvenate that book. I started working on it again. And I just love the arts. I just love art in general, all visual arts, just everything. My husband's a musical director, taught band and chorus and musical theater in high school, was also a retired teacher. So I just, a lot of the things that I had on my list had to do with writing and those types of more creative pursuits.
Hey, actors, let me grab your attention for a quick moment because our incredible 3-day event is coming up. This is one of my favorite events of the entire year, the Southeast Actor Summit. And you probably already know that Atlanta is the heart of the Southeast, but the entire Southeast market really is one of the best markets that you could be diving into. And if you're not already working in this market, you probably should. There's so many opportunities. And so this is a great way to dive in. We bring in some of the best instructors here in Atlanta to help guide you and move you forward in your craft, while also including different agents and casting directors, so you can truly get that behind the scenes peek at how to move your journey and your career forward. So I really hope you'll join us. There's more information in the description, so check that out. But if you truly want to not only work in the Southeast, but thrive here in the Southeast, this is a must attend event, period. So I hope to see you there, the Southeast Actor Summit. Was there any moment as you were like, all right, I'm going to go after this, that you kind of mentioned it a little bit, but like feeling like a fraud, that imposter syndrome almost? And like, then how did you get beyond that? Or you said somebody approached you. Was it just like, oh, well, somebody asked me, so I guess I'll just go after this? Yeah.
I was like, I never thought about that, but I think I could do it. I think I have the tools to do it. I'm a relatively bright person. And I just was willing to put in the work. And I learned a lot and kind of taught myself the job by just listening and reading.
And doing.
Yeah. And researching. And I called Jara a lot.
Did you?
And I was like,
Jara's
hey!
awesome. Jara's so great.
She was always very gracious and helped me out, with some questions. Like, I think the first phone conversation I had with Chase was about a nudity waiver, because I wanted one for an actor and there wasn't one. And so I was having a conversation with him about, like, if this is what we're talking about is going to happen in this scene, why is there not a nudity waiver? Because I booked an actor on something with less.
Can you tell everyone what that is too? It's
just a waiver that just outlines everything that could happen as far as nudity and the type of the type of nudity and, you know,
So there's
intimacy
clear
coordinator. Yeah.
parameters, guidelines for the actor.
Yeah. An intimacy coordinator and all that kind of stuff. And so I remember I called Jer and I was like, okay, here's the deal. Like, what do I do here? Because I really feel like to protect my actor, we need this, but production is saying they're not going to give me one, you know? So that was, first of all, a weird conversation to have with Chase for the very first time you actually talk to the phone
Yeah.
to a casting director and you're talking about, you know, pasties and whatnot. Awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did call her a few times and she was very helpful.
That's one thing that I
figured stuff out.
I love that story. I feel like that's something that we continue to hear in the Southeast on how, you know, we're all kind of here for each other, you know, obviously different agency, but you're reaching out for some help. And I feel like that happens. And, you know, we're better together. You know, it's like, yes, everybody wants to book the role.
Yeah.
Same thing for actors. It's like, but like, let's all just support each other at the same time.
Exactly. It just feels different than LA and New York. And I mean, I went to LA with my daughter for her to train one summer, and even just investigating like different places for her to train and just the vibe that you get from them. It's just so different here, where all the studios that teach classes here, they're always like, try our class, try someone else's class. You know, they're not like, come here and don't go anywhere else. Like,
Right.
I've never heard anybody in this market talk like that. And it's so nice. Everybody's very supportive because we all want Atlanta to become what Atlanta has become.
Yeah.
You know, we all really had to work together towards that goal, I feel like, instead of trying to be so confrontational or, you know,
Right.
everybody's just very collaborative, which is great.
You talk about Atlanta becoming what it has become. What do you see, you know, the next 5 years or 10 years looking like? Do you see it just being, you know, I mean, I feel like it could be tough. I know Alex and I have also had this conversation of like, no more speculating, like, let's just wait and see.
Yeah.
But do you have any thoughts on like the next 5 or 10 years, or it's who knows? We keep getting all of these, you know, crazy variables that come our way, whether it be strikes or pandemics or.
I know it's like one hump after the other.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, okay, once the strike is over, it's going to blow open. And we were like, okay, there were 1,200 projects or something that asked for, you know, a waiver during the strike.
Wow.
And then you had to have funding and everything, in my understanding, to
Right.
apply for that, you know. So then when the strike was over, we were like, all right, let's brace ourselves for the flood of projects.
And then nothing.
Where'd they go?
Yeah, we're all looking around.
What happened to all these projects?
Yeah.
You know, and then it was like, then IATSE, and then it was the Teamsters, and, you know, so we still keep waiting for it. So, I mean, I don't know, you know, Louisiana is changing their tax credit. So a lot of people are, I think, worried that's going to dry up stuff there. Maybe that will bring more stuff here.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's been a good bit of stuff in North Carolina recently. So I think as the Southeast as a whole, you know, I feel like it's going to continue to be kind of like it has. A few network shows, a few big films, a lot of small films. You know, I don't know if it's ever going to feel like 2017, 2018 again.
No, I don't think so either. You know, I think, you know, it all comes down to expectations, right? You know, that's when people are disappointed, when your expectations aren't met. And
Yeah.
and I, you know, I remember when there was like 45 things filming at one time.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, that was like, you know, as the streaming was really getting going, they were still figuring it out. There was like every streaming platform under the sun, everything was being made.
Yeah. Well, we had the CW that was making a bunch of stuff here.
Right.
And now we don't.
Mhm.
You know, all that stuff in Covington and, you know, all those vampire shows and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, Stargirl, and like we lost
Yeah.
all that and it hasn't been replaced with anything.
Right.
So
right.
that left a hole that you could feel, really.
Right, right. But I mean, I think that, you know, we won't, you know, as the film and TV industry is going through a bit of a transition right now, you know, especially if you think about how it's like, you know, it was like silent films, silent films to radio, radio to TV, you know, and then there's cable, and then now, you know, streaming. It's like, it really is a big transition that we're going through. It's
Yeah.
a complete change in how we're consuming media, right? So, you know, I think like it's not going to go back to 45 projects filming at once, because
Yeah.
we were in that weird transition, like of like, oh, we don't know what this is, so just go crazy. And
Yeah,
like,
we got to make
that's
stuff.
not-
We got to have
right.
stuff to put on.
But it's like not that anymore.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
don't think it'll ever go back to being that busy. You know, but it doesn't mean there's not a lot of stuff still going on, and there's not a lot of projects to book.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like when Netflix first came out, you know, Netflix has their own things that they produce. But I feel like now, as I talk to people who produce their own content, I feel like there is a pathway for like a regular person to approach Netflix and sell their product or lease their, you know,
Yeah.
their content to the streaming services, which is encouraging, you know. So it doesn't have to just be the big guys are making all the stuff. Like, you can make your own stuff. You can do the festival circuit. You can win some awards, or, you know, prove that you have an audience, and then get it on a larger platform, you know. And it's just that it's just going to take a while for those filmmakers or those actors to get traction and build. You know, it's not going to be a overnight success kind of thing. But I feel like there is a way for them to get seen
Yeah.
on those streamers.
I think that's such a good point. I cannot agree more. And I think just for the listeners to like consider, because, you know, the making a thing, right? Producing your own project sounds great, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Huge undertaking.
Huge.
Undertaking. You know, so the thing that I just want to like have the listeners really take note of right now is like, if you like, you could really make big money producing your own projects, right? Selling something to one of the streamers or something. And then that's going to hopefully create a domino effect where
Yeah.
you're then able to do it again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
If you were going to go to school to be a doctor or something, you would be in school for years and years and years before you were able to start making money at this. And so I would just encourage everyone, if they're like, wow, maybe I can go produce my own thing. It's like, understand that it could take time.
Yeah.
You need the right people around you. So start building your community. And it doesn't mean you're going to like make it like that in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. All of a sudden you figured it out. It's like, it will take time, just like anything does. So it's like, if you really want to do this at a high level, understand that it'll take time, but absolutely not impossible.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing that draws me to actors in the first place is the art and the love of the craft. And so, you know, if you go into acting to be rich and to be famous, you're going to be disappointed probably.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have the right, like, you just have to absolutely have to do it. Like, you just have to do it. You have to make things. You have to create, you know, and it might take a while for you to make money from that. And yeah, you might have to have some side hustles, but it's like the love of just doing that piece of art is, you know, what's attractive to me as far as actors go, you know, because this is a hard business. And if you are in it to just get your face on TV, you know, it's hard. You might book a couple co-stars, but if you're not really training and really becoming an artist, you're not going to progress to that next level. You know, it's like, it's so hard as a new actor to get that first co-star, like that first network co-star. You know, we love a network co-star.
Yeah.
For those residuals. And I feel like, I always felt like it's just so hard, and it's such a joy when you book somebody on their first network co-star.
And I feel like so many agents say that.
It's
so
so
cool.
great, you know? It's so fun to do that. Or like a couple months ago, I called somebody and booked them on their first Marvel movie, and they were like,
They're
you
like losing
sure?
it, right?
Is this a mistake? Like,
Yeah.
I'm part of the universe now, you know? And it's so exciting to share their joy with that, you know? And so that's hard. And then, but that next bump to get that first guest star is so like it's such a hurdle sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not, well, I've done 5 co-stars, I guess I'm a guest star now.
Right. Yeah.
And here we have a lot of co-stars that are on weeklies that are in a lot of scenes, but they're not guest stars because they're in the scene, but they're not the story arc. They're not,
Right.
that part of the story or whatever. And there's a lot to it to book that. And so you really have to train and be an artist, I feel like, to, bump up from those under 5 co-stars to the really good co-stars to finally getting that guest star and moving on up. You really got to have it.
I think not only that, I think some people forget the fierce competition.
Yeah.
As well. The Atlanta Southeast market is no longer what it was 10 years ago.
A lot of people moved here in 2020 from New York because it's so expensive to live there. I know I signed several people in 2020 that moved here from New York, moved to the Southeast, just because of the cost of living. And
Right.
there's a lot of folks that moved to LA and then they end up moving back because it's also very expensive to live there. So there's a lot of people here that moved here during that period and continue to move here to take advantage of what's here. So it's a lot different than it was even 5 years ago.
And running the studio, we will constantly have people in class where, we might say, hey, let us know the scene that you're doing, your name, a little bit about yourself or a fun fact or something like that. I swear every class someone's like, I just moved here, and we're like, oh, cool. Like when? And they're like, last week. And it's like, dang, like they moved here a week ago and they're already in this workshop with an agent or a casting director trying to move forward. Like they are serious. You know what I mean? Like they're like ready to go.
Yeah.
And so it's like the fierce competition. So, just talking about like the hurdle and getting, getting those larger roles, it's like, yeah, just because I just can't agree with you more. It's like you don't necessarily deserve it because you've gotten a handful of credits or even a dozen credits. Like it doesn't mean like now all of a sudden you deserve things. And it's like your resume just books you things now. Like it just really like the competition is out there and it's fierce. And because of self-tapes, casting has the ability to just keep looking and see so many people and really get the best person for the role. So you must be the best person for the role to get it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of shows that are super popular that are shot in the Southeast. And there's a lot of stars that watch those shows that want to be on those shows.
Right.
And will, during this kind of slow time, they'll do a guest star on a show that they love. And that means that guest star is no longer available to one of our Southeast residents that possibly would have been able to book. They have the talent, but they don't have the name,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Well, you mentioned because you're still writing that book that you mentioned earlier, right? Yeah, you're still writing it. Can you dive into that a little bit more? Because I love the concept of it, of like getting that creativity. We're just wrapping up this audition boot camp, and I talk about how we need to have more fun and be creative and be empowered.
Mm-hmm.
And so this book sounds very intriguing to me. So like, what are some of the elements in this I'm glad that you brought it up on the podcast. It really forces you to finish it. And you've written a bunch of books, so I know that you'll finish it. But now people know. So like people are going to be looking for it.
I know. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I need like a deadline.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm at like 125 pages. So we're more than halfway done, I think.
Good.
So the beginning of the book is just basically explaining what creativity is and the skills that are involved, being fluent, being flexible. One of the skills involved in creativity is premature closure and not doing that, which means don't just go with the first idea that you have. Like resist premature closure. So especially for new actors, you're waitress number 2, right? And you've got 3 lines to deliver. Those are some of the hardest auditions to do, right? You've got to come in, take a few seconds to like, let me know where you are in your environment, deliver your 3 lines, and you're out, And so many people, when they read that, they're going to have just the same reaction to it or the same thought of how they're going to play this waitress or whatever. So you want to resist the urge to just go for that first idea and sit with it for a while and let it incubate. And because maybe the 10th idea that you have is the best one. Not when you're in front of the camera, the 10th one, because we don't want to do 10 takes.
Right. Yeah.
It's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
As you prepare, so that's a big thing. So anyway, I just kind of explain what creativity is so that people understand it. Because it's really about ideas and thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the next section is not teaching different things, because I'm not going to do that, but just talking about the different, like talking about Uta Hagen or Stanislavski or Meisner, where in their teachings does creativity lie? Whether they come out and say the word creativity or whether they're, just talking about it, where is it? Because it's in it's in there, So I'm just researching, that part's not finished. So I'm researching all of these different, maybe 6 or 8 different teaching strategies and learning where they kind of have creativity embedded in their processes. And so I'm just pointing that out. So that's a section.
Very cool.
And then I just have some different like mental games, sort of mental
Like challenges,
exercises,
yeah.
to kind of get you thinking creatively. And then I have a section of like 10 or 12 improv games. So one of my, and I didn't do I've done improv myself, but I didn't do a lot of reading on improv games because I didn't want to have established improv games like seep into my head. Right. So I wrote like 10 or 12 improv games, and it's completely possible that some of them already exist, because a lot of them are like, the alphabet game where you give someone two people something to talk about. They're talking about what they're going to eat for dinner or whatever. And then one person starts with A, and the next person starts with B, and the next person, like that's been around. I don't know who invented it, but like things like that happen in a lot of improv classes. So my next thing is to, maybe pick the best 8 improv games and possibly have like a little session where I just invite actors to come and play and like test them out and see if they even work.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't want to put them in the book and then have somebody be like, okay, I tried that game and it doesn't work.
Right.
It just doesn't flow.
What you're going to find is all of the games are already created.
I hope not.
I feel like I've done that so often. I'm like, I completely came up with that. And then I'm like, dang it, it already exists. I swear I invented this. Yeah.
I thought I was so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, I'm going to finish. I mean, I think I have like 12 games. I have them fleshed out, but there's some like descriptors that I have to finish on those pages. But that is like one of the next things I want to do is actually test those out.
Okay.
And
fun.
see if they work. And, tweak them or fix them or trash them or whatever. And then I don't know if you've ever looked at my Instagram, but I have like these little creativity dives that I started doing, like, I don't even know how long ago, 1.5 years or 2 ago. I used to do them every Saturday, and now I just do them like whenever I feel like it.
Right.
But it's just a little question to kind of get you thinking deeper about a character that you are currently auditioning for, right? To kind of round out that character and make it more of a real person for you, so that if you get to play that character and you're in a scene, you can react as that character would react because you really know them as, a person that's not you, but it is you. You know what I mean? So like, just, it could be, some of them are kind of more superficial, like a shopping or does your character order their groceries, or do they like to go to brick and mortar stores, and then, or it could be like a deeper level, like what event in your character's life really causes them regret, or so there's all different levels of the questions that I ask, but they're just to kind of get you thinking more about that character and kind of trying to round them out so you would know how they would react in a certain situation. And even if that never comes up in the scene that you're doing, it still helps inform you about that character. So there's going to be a section of those, and there'll be kind of not really worksheets, because, I'm not supposed to call them worksheets as teachers, but like activity pages with some really good questions. Activity pages. Who doesn't love a little worksheet?
An activity page sounds so fun. Yeah.
So, have a question and then just kind of break down that question into some little subset questions.
Awesome.
And so you could actually physically write out, like, what would my character do in this situation?
Yeah. That's great.
To really help. And I mean, this wouldn't be the waitress number 3 character. It would be a
more meaty character.
More meaty character that you're going to actually going to embody. So it'll have a section of that. I feel like I'm
So hold on,
missing something out, but that's basically what the book.
Well, we gotta get this book, but first, what deadline are you gonna make? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Let me think.
What deadline do you want to put on this?
I mean, if I can really, I don't know. Some of the books, I think maybe the 3rd book I wrote, I sat down and I wrote like 8 hours a day.
Wow.
While I was teaching and had young kids.
Dang, you.
Like on the weekend, I would just sit down and write.
You committed hard.
And I was like, how did I do that?
Are you not gonna are you not gonna have AI help you with this?
I am not gonna have AI.
You refuse.
I am not really a fan of all the AI stuff.
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised when I see actors post all these, pictures of themselves. Or like, I'm going to use this headshot that's AI. And I'm like, don't like that.
Yeah, no.
I don't like it.
Yeah, totally.
Let's let a human do their task and take your picture,
You know what I'll do, though, that I'll admit, Candy and I will sometimes we'll put the breakdown into AI and just say, like, what do you think this character looks like? What should I wear? Mm-hmm. And it does a really good job.
Oh, I've never thought of asking.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So, I mean, I'm like using AI for everything.
My husband and my son both do that too.
Yeah. AI is editing this podcast right now. But yeah, I mean,
can AI decide, probably could decide what we're having for dinner tonight and who, but they
100%.
But they can't cook it for me, which is unfortunate.
No, it can't do that. You literally could take a picture of your refrigerator and say, what should I eat?
Oh.
Put together a meal based on my ingredients.
That would be helpful.
See, you're ready to use AI now.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, what's your deadline?
If I say June, is that too far?
No, I think you should set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
June.
If not sooner. How about
that?
that?
All right. I like that. All right. Good for you. Awesome. All right. So with year 2 of the podcast, I've been adding in a couple new things. So I'm actually today going to give you the actor dilemma.
Okay.
So the actor dilemma is there's an actor. They live in Kentucky, or they live in, well, no, let's put them in the middle. Let's put them in the middle
Kansas.
Kansas. Let's put them in the middle. They're in Kansas and they're considering going to Los Angeles, Atlanta, or New York. Actor dilemma. Where should they go and why?
I mean, it kind of depends what their resume looks like.
They just live in Kansas. Nothing.
Okay, so nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, then I would say come here.
Come here.
For sure.
All right.
I mean, unless they do theater, and then I would say go to New York maybe.
That's true. There are variables.
If they have some friends and they can couch surf for a few months while they find that bartending job and save some money.
Yeah. When you said it depends on their resume, what indicator would you say means that they go maybe to LA?
I mean, I think you would have to have some pretty well-established network work before you move to LA. Because it's competitive here. It's really competitive there.
Yeah.
And also, if people haven't saved money in preparation and you do go to New York or LA and you do book something, you're going to have to join the union to work there. And are you prepared to do that?
Right.
Do you have a status? Is it still $3,000 to join? Is that what it is?
I think it depends what market you're in.
Okay, that's true.
Yeah. So
3,000 here, I think.
I'm not sure.
Okay. That's what it was for my daughter to join.
Was it?
Yeah.
What project did she?
She did commercials like AT&T. She got eligible from an AT&T commercial that she did,
Okay.
SAG commercial.
Yeah, I think the pricing is a little bit different. So Southeast
Right.
is less expensive
Yeah.
than like a New York or LA.
But if you go there and are lucky enough to book something, you're going to have to be prepared to join.
Yeah.
Where you won't have to do that here, And likewise, if you work here and you're lucky enough to book something there, understand that you're going to have to join when you go there. Because I've had actors here that got a nice foothold here, booked them in LA on a recurring show, and they were a must join.
Right.
So they had to join,
Yep.
So
All right.
know that.
Know that. That's right. Hey, are you a parent of a young actor? Then you're going to want to pay attention to this because Get Scene Studios has what we call our Rising Star program. This program is incredible. It is a monthly program that puts you in front of an industry pro every single month and focuses on what a young actor needs to be focusing on, which is auditions. So every single month, we focus on either theatrical auditions or commercial auditions so they can be set up for success when they get an agent or if they already have an agent to really succeed at these auditions and even begin to make money at this. So we bring in different industry pros every single month and agents and casting directors and then work on those auditions. So if this sounds like something that you would like to get your child or a friend that has a child involved in, all you need to do is email risingstar@getscenestudios.com and we will let you try your first month for just $1 a class. That's right, only $1 a class. All you got to do is email us and we will get you all set up and ready to go to improve those auditions and then also get in front of those industry pros because we are Get Seen. Thanks for watching. That's right. That's right. All right, Laura. Well, I think this brings us to our spotlight sign off, which is 5 questions to end strong.
Okay.
Question number 1 is, what's something you're super grateful for today?
I'm just super grateful for the opportunity to have this second career and do something that I really, really enjoy, and work with people that are super smart and collaborative. So coming from the teaching field, we do a lot of collaboration, but we also put up with a lot of, red tape and stuff that's not so fun that makes it harder for you to do your job. So being able to choose this career and work for someone that's smart and collaborative and knowledgeable about this business, and that, I get up every day and I'm just happy to do this job, where, there were many days when I was teaching where I got up and I was not so happy to do the job. It's a rough job.
Yeah.
And I worked for a lot of different principals, and some of them just didn't make it easier for you to job and weren't helpful, and that's just rough and it's
Right.
not fun, but you keep going because you believe in what you're doing and you love your kids. But I'm really thankful that I get to do what I'm doing now and that I really like it,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
because I'm retired-ish.
Ish, yeah.
I don't want to do something that I don't want to do.
I
I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, question number 2, and you kind of get, this is like going to be a much more loaded question because you're going to get like a bonus question in this because it's, what book, movie, or TV show changed the trajectory of your life? However, you've been in the same book club for 25 years. Oh my gosh. That is so awesome and so incredible. So I feel like you're going to tell me a book but maybe not. But how, like, for one, I just like your dedication and commitment to staying in a club for that long is the coolest thing ever. How often are you reading books in this book club?
So we read 10 books a year.
Wow.
So I think May, it used to be April, but I think May is like our pitch month. So we all come with 2 or 3 or 4 suggestions of what we would like to read. And then we just kind of go around the room and everybody shares the books and gives like a little blurb about it or whatever. And then we vote, not like virtually later.
Right.
And then December, we do a book exchange and a wine exchange. We play like Dirty Santa with books and then again with wine, which is more competitive than books.
Wait, what's Dirty Santa?
It's like, so you have all the, gifts and you pick numbers. And so number 1 gets to pick
Oh, it's like White Elephant.
yeah.
Oh, but that title is way better. Dirty Santa.
Yeah, that's what we call it.
That is a better title.
When I grew up, Dirty Santa, a white elephant was like something that you had in your house.
Oh, yeah.
That was not new, but like new.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's a little different to me because we bring new wine.
Right. White Elephant is like a re-gift.
Yeah.
Is there? Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we play
got it.
Dirty Santa and so December we just like get together and then everybody leaves with a bottle of wine and a brand new book.
Nice.
So that's fun.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so we read 10 books a year. We get together every month. We just we like take a month and do the house, and sometimes we meet at a restaurant, but usually we go to each other's houses and have dinner together and have a discussion.
That's awesome.
And I know some of our husbands call it wine club because there is wine.
That's okay.
But a lot of us are former teachers or current teachers or, just really, just all of my book club girls we're all just like smart women and we have serious discussions and we read really good literature. Like we don't read like romance novels or, I don't know. I don't want to offend other book clubs, but like,
yeah.
but some people, when they see what we read, they're like, oh, oh, you read.
Wait, what was the last book what was it about?
What is the last book? Now you're going to put me on the spot. I can't remember what we last
Because you're like,
read.
it's all going together.
It's all a blur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're about to read, I know we have book club on Monday and I haven't even started. We're reading the new Eric Larson book.
You have to have like a certain amount of chapters done, or you have to have the whole book.
The whole book.
Wait,
Yeah.
you haven't even started? What?
No, I haven't started.
How big is this book?
I don't know. It's pretty fat. I'm kind of in trouble, but
We got to get you out of here and start reading.
we also have like a whole rating system. So we rate the books when we're finished and we have like a whole spreadsheet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We have a recording secretary that like
Nice.
keeps our spreadsheet and so we can see, what has rated 5. But like our highest books ever were like Cutting for Stone, Memoirs of a Geisha, Poisonwood Bible, Color Purple, Bell Jar, like stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
that's real. Like those are real books.
Yeah,
like
real
those
books.
are real books.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
All right, so then back to the original question, which is what book, TV show, or film changed the trajectory of your life?
That's really hard because I don't have like. I don't know. I can't think of something that like changed something that changed the trajectory of my life was like in elementary school, I was in like the lowest reading group. Right. And my twin brother was in the highest reading group. Of course, he's very smart. He's an engineer. And then we moved from Ohio to outside Detroit and they gave us all these, tests before they placed us in whatever. That was 6th grade. And I remember there was a meeting with my mom and they were like, wow, they really had her misplaced. They had her in the wrong group, and she's a much better reader than they said she was, and just somebody telling you that, like my reading was no different day 1 to day 2 being at that school, but just someone saying, you're a lot better at this than they thought you were,
Wow.
So that's not like a book or whatever, but that kind of gave me confidence. And I remember sitting at the dinner table reading a book, which normally would be like, let's not do that. But I think my parents were like so helpful, so thrilled that I was, reading that they were like, okay, you can read a book at the dinner table.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And really a powerful story because like you said, nothing really changed.
Yeah.
Nothing happened except someone told you something.
Yeah.
And it just really goes to show you like the power of our words.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to say like be careful what you say to people. Pay attention to what you say to people instead. And the reason why I say it like that is because it can be both positive and negative.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can really make huge impacts on people, or we can cut them down.
Yeah.
We can do both.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that. That's
It's true.
awesome.
I mean, in high school, I was compared a lot to my brother, and I'm a creative thinker, and math was really not my friend in high school. I'm not an algebraic thinker, right? I love geometry, got an A in geometry, spatial awareness, like that kind of stuff. I'm very good at. Not so good at just writing a formula to solve a problem. My brain doesn't work that way, But my twin brother's an engineer. He's very, very book smart. And so I was compared a lot to him. And I'm also not a good test taker, like kind of overthink things. And like, I saw that in the gifted kids that I taught, because there's like too many possibilities, and you're like, well, what if, and your brain is going somewhere that this boring test maker, they were not thinking like that, like little question in a first grade COGAT test is, which one of these does not belong? And it'll have a little picture of a boat and a little picture of a bike and a car and a truck, right?
No idea.
You're supposed to pick the boat.
Oh, because it doesn't have wheels.
Because it goes on water and doesn't have wheels.
Got it.
I would pick the bike because it doesn't have a steering wheel. Because there's a little picture and they all have a steering wheel. But that's the wrong answer, But like that's how I took tests, and then I just.
But you also could be like, it's a bike because it doesn't have a motor.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. It should be the bike. It should absolutely be the bike.
It should be, those tests are bullshit.
They're so wrong. But so I'm not a good test taker. So the first time I took the SAT, I was so nervous I threw up outside the library where I took the test. And then I went in there and took it, and I didn't do very well. I mean, I didn't super bomb it, but I did not do well. My brother took it one time and scored 1,400 something or whatever.
Oh,
he's like,
gosh.
So
Wow.
I did not do well. And my high school counselor told me that I should be like a hairdresser or something, because college was not for me.
Really?
And my mom was like, marched up to that school, and she was like, this, how dare you, basically,
right.
And thankfully my mom and both my parents, we just grew up knowing you were going to go to college, that's just the expectation, is you're going to go to college. And they were like, ignore that in person. I don't know what her, you're fine. And I took it again, and when I got into UGA, and go Dogs, but like you said, just be careful, because my thought is, how many people did she say that to who didn't have parents that were supportive, that knew their child, that knew that, okay, maybe I'm not, a calculus whiz,
valedictorian.
I'm not gonna, I'm not that, but I'm something else that's also valuable.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
So that's kind of scary to think of, how many people were told that, and they were like, okay, because they didn't have somebody in their corner.
Yeah.
So.
Very powerful.
Yeah.
Question 3
I
is.
still didn't answer your question of a movie.
No, but you know what? I think we got an even better answer, to be honest. Normally I push people. I'm like, well, we're gonna figure it out together. But no, I accept that answer.
Okay,
that's good. Question 3 is, what is something in your daily routine that you really cherish?
So lately, when my husband retired from teaching music, he was like, I'm going to become a better piano player. He's a trumpet player, but he's like, I want to get better at piano, right? Bought himself a new piano, it's an electronic piano, but it's it looks like a real piano, and it sounds like a real piano. And he's got this whole little music studio set up in the basement. And he usually wakes up before me. So lately, I just really like getting up in the morning, having my coffee in solitude by myself, but I can hear him in the basement playing piano.
Oh.
So he plays for 45 minutes or an hour every morning.
Oh.
And I know, when he finishes one little etude, I know exactly the etude that comes next, because he plays the songs like over, like he plays them in the same order and stuff a lot.
Yeah.
So I know what he's going to play. And then sometimes like, oh, you got a new book down there. I heard a new song today or whatever. But I really enjoy that. And I think that's probably something that a lot of people absolutely don't have the privilege of, just, having your nice cup of coffee and doing your morning reading and listening to somebody play piano.
Yeah, no, I love that so much. That's awesome. I also have one of those electric pianos, and a couple of years ago, I was doing piano lessons.
10,000 hours.
Gosh, I'm not even close. Right now, it's just leaning up against the wall over there. I want to keep bringing it out, but I'm just like, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready to like really commit,
Yeah.
and I know it, so I don't want to like halfway do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
when I bring this thing out, I really got to go for it again. But
I can't read bass clef, so I can only play with my right hand.
Fourth question is, what is something you're trying to currently improve in your life?
I'm trying to force myself to get my writing projects done, actually, and improve.
Well, June.
June.
You got till June.
Yeah. Like for me, Sunday is kind of like in my head, that's my writing day. Like you've got to do some writing on Sunday. And so I have probably, I think, 15 manuscripts of different projects in some form of.
Oh, wow.
So I have a couple short films that I'm working on. And then I have some children's books that are really basically finished except for illustrations. My daughter.
AI could do it.
No. No.
You could be done by this afternoon.
100% no. My daughter's a costume designer, so she doesn't act anymore. She has a minor in acting, but she has a BFA in costume design. So she's costume designer and does really great illustrations and renderings for that.
Oh,
and
cool.
so she's supposed to be working on illustrations for one of those children's books. And then I just have like other books. I don't know. Like when I first wrote books, I was like, what if I never have any more ideas? And that's it. And that hasn't happened because I always have more ideas.
Yes.
I haven't finished those before I finish the other ones. But so I'm really trying to force myself to like less social media, less reality TV or like whatever is wasting time, and more like let's work on this part of art because that's a good outlet, and I need to like finish stuff.
Yeah.
Even if I just want to, I'll probably like self-publish it, and maybe my mom will buy a book and that'll be it, but that'll be okay because it'll be done.
More people will buy a book than that. Awesome. Okay, good. Yep, get it done. All right, last question. We've gone over a bunch of stuff, so maybe we're bringing it back or it's something brand new. But if you wanted the listeners to get one thing for sure from this episode, what would it be?
I think I just want actors to just always work on themselves as an actor, but also like as a person. I encourage everybody to read. I encourage everybody to travel, because all of that stuff that you see and hear and read can be pushed into your art.
Yes.
How do you play this person who's been to Europe if you've never? I mean, I know everybody can't travel to Europe, but you can read, you can watch, you can, broaden your horizons, even if you never get to Europe yourself. But I think I just want people to just embrace the craft and just work on it and believe in themselves and look for ways to be creative.
I love it. Awesome. Laura, thank you so much for being
You're
here.
welcome.
It was such a pleasure to connect with you more today. And I know this was impactful for so many people.
I hope so.
Absolutely
Thanks.
was.
I appreciate it.
Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already hit that follow or subscribe button, make sure to do that. And if you can, please give us a review. That really helps the podcast out. And I can't tell you how much I love reading those reviews and for us to really, just take a moment to realize that what we're doing here is impacting your journey in a powerful way. So thank you so much for being here. Laura, thanks again.
You're welcome.